実際に見ないとあの不気味さはわからない。
It's time to face your fears.
やっぱり渦巻きだ。
Spiral into the nightmare.
息子が死んでしまった。
With a Japanese language Uzumaki marathon. Next Saturday at midnight. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
呪いだ。渦巻きの呪いだ。
You are an accountant.
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 I want to be a wrestler!
In a world where pro wrestling is everything.
I'm gonna be the best wrestler of all time.
Step into the ring with Invincible Fight Girl. 2-episode series premiere. Saturday, November 2nd at midnight on Toonami. Next day on Max. Nice girls finish last.
Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast, Toonami Therapy, recording on October 15th of 2024. I'm Michael.
Yeah, hello, I'm Tommy. I'm still here.
Yeah, you got sick, didn't you?
Yeah, probably COVID, but we didn't bother to test. We were just like, we're just going to treat it as COVID, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Doing that did end up kind of confusing our schedule a bit. Well, there's a bunch of things that have confused our schedule because we decided, okay, watching Rick and Morty anime subbed is pretty boring. Maybe we'll watch it dubbed, and well, it was better, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe the episode was better. Maybe it was just the experience of watching it dubbed is better. Because I can tell you, no, when you're plenty of times, I mean, I don't mind subbed or whatever. It can be better sometimes. But when you're watching something you don't particularly like, watching it subbed is so much worse.
Yeah.
Anyway, because we did that, we also decided, well, we'll watch Uzumaki dubbed because it's there. However, the timeline is so confusing because Rick and Morty, the anime, premieres on Thursday, then the rerun is on Toonami. Uzumaki airs the new episode on Toonami and then airs a rerun dubbed the next Thursday. So Rick and Morty, the anime, is an episode ahead, whereas Uzumaki is an episode behind, which is why we're only going to be talking about the second episode of Uzumaki this episode. Also, for reasons of sickness, we weren't able to record last week, so we're recording this week. We're planning to do a second one later this week to try to cover some other things. And this also meant that even though the things aired last week on Toonami, we won't be covering that, but we'll be covering that for the next one when we're caught up. The bottom line of all this is that the episode numbers we're using might be confusing, and we might not be doing ones that aired recently as a result of all of this.
Yeah. Yep, all you said makes sense.
All right. So, we'll begin, I suppose. So we've got Rick and Morty, the anime, episodes 8 and 9. Here's the fun thing, me trying to remember something that aired like more than a week ago, the 8th episode. That was, they fight there's like some alien stuff, and then they go and find that other Rick, the one with the long hair, who apparently has been dubbed Mullet Rick, who basically says all this stuff like, oh yeah, well, I didn't choose to reset my universe because, I don't know, I'm going to skip through some of this stuff because I can't remember, and I'm not sure I understood it that well the first time around. Second episode 9. So we basically decide not to do, because one of the possibilities was to save the universe by destroying the other universe, and they decided, let's not do that. Anyway, so then all that stuff with Al, you know Al, the character who's been getting a bunch of focus but never appeared in the original series at all. Yeah, she dies in this episode, as you might have honestly expected, because it's an original character that didn't appear in the original series at all. Yeah, basically she manages to help them get to victory via self-sacrifice, and then Morty is super depressed as a result of all of this. Yeah, that was kind of a jumbled way to describe it, but I guess it was kind of a jumbled way. It was a jumbled things we saw. You know, it's funny because right before Rick and Morty, the anime airs, regular Rick and Morty airs. And that just highlights how completely different this series is. It's just like, okay, we have a fun little wacky comedy. Sure, some of the comedy is dark. Next, Rick and Morty the anime. Oh, a character sacrificed themselves and everyone's very sad about it. Ugh. So, I mean, I guess I didn't dislike it as much as a lot of the episodes of the series.
Yeah, but it still wasn't that good.
Maybe the fun.
I've heard other people actually coming out and saying that they think the Rick and Morty anime sucks and not getting as much blowback as you'd usually get. So clearly it's not as good as, it's not coming across as well as the original Rick and Morty has. Because I've been, be honest, I've actually started to like Rick and Morty, the original, and this anime version like takes away pretty much all the best things of what makes it funny and just turns it into a show. A show. That's all it is. It's a show.
I think some of the kind of maybe want to hold off some of my thoughts until we get to the final episode. But yeah, it's so I know this anime because before they had the anime, they had a bunch of like Rick and Morty anime shorts. They were like maybe 3 or 5 minutes or something, and they were just Rick and Morty stuff like this. And I'm thinking, I wasn't huge on those, but it was. But they kind of had they sort of were their thing. I guess my point is what seems like it works okay as like maybe a 5-minute short doesn't work so well, I think, when it's 10 full-length episodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just feels so different from the original series. But maybe it was there to make people who hadn't watched the original series, they'd watch it and say, this makes no sense. Will it make more sense if I watch the original series? And they watch the original series and say, well, it still doesn't make sense, but the original series is better. Maybe it's all just a stealth advertisement to make you watch it by wondering if watching the original will make you like it more. I mean, it kind of worked on that respect for us. It did make us check it out.
It did.
Okay. So, moving on. We've got Uzumaki episode 2. So, in this episode, what happens is that, let's see. So, sorry, I thought I heard something. So the girl, I think she's like the main female character. Her hair gets super long and has all these spirals in it. And I mean like crazy, absurd long. It's like she's like becomes some sort of Gorgon thing with that. And if you try to cut it out, then it attacks you. And then another girl gets hair like that and decides, hey, I don't like you. I'm going to attack you. And then their hair fights each other. This feels like something you would see in JoJo, honestly.
JoJo. Yep.
Heck, there was a character whose stand power was the ability to control her hair and attack with it. Anyway, so we have all that. The good news is that as a result of all that, the main character manages girl Kire, I think that was her name. Right, they managed to get it cut, but the other person, I think, like, it gets stuck. It makes, I can't remember exactly what happened to her. Sorry, it's because I saw this quite a while ago. Didn't like it get stuck to a telephone pole or something?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, then there's a bunch of other weird stuff that happens in which a bunch of people turn into snails, or maybe it was just one person.
Mm-hmm.
I know someone turns into a snail, which ironically is also something that happened in JoJo. Do you remember that from part 6? It happened near the end, like when you looked at the rainbow, it turned you into a snail or something like that.
Oh, really? Wow.
I can't
Yeah.
remember the specifics.
Mm.
Yeah, then there's a bunch of other weird stuff, and also they look in the lighthouse, and then because it's been making weird light even though there's no one doing it, and then they realize, oh wait, it's going to start and it'll get super crazy hot in here, so let's run out, and they try to, but then one of the persons doesn't in time and gets burnt up, and yeah, that's basically it. Really, I probably could have just summed the whole thing up with a bunch of weird stuff happens in regards with, and they all involve spirals somehow.
Yeah, so this does do a pretty good job at filling in the October horror series for the year. I assume they saved it, they held it back and saved it for October on purpose so that they could sew it around this time. So I think it succeeds in that. It doesn't succeed, though, quite in getting me to care about the characters, and that's always the most important thing. So, so for me, it's just like, okay, this is a horror series, but I don't really care about anyone, so I don't really care what happens to anyone. And unfortunately, that, kind of sucks the joy out of the show, but it isn't terrible, so I will give it that. I don't even think I can call it bad. It's just not something I'm really interested in.
Yeah, in regards to characters, yeah, I don't care that much about them. Although there's also, it's a lot of them are, it just involves different characters. Uzumaki, like the original manga, was basically like each chapter was kind of its own story, and while they all like took place in the same town and sometimes involved the same characters, it really was they were all kind of like standalone weird stuff happening involving spirals. The anime kind of like put them together in the way we're seeing now. One thing I should mention, because I saw a lot of people comment on this, is that the animation quality takes a definite downturn in the second episode. I mean, I think if you're talking about looking at it like the quality of what you see like in each individual frame, I think it looks pretty good still, but there's a lot less like fluid movement. The animation is a bit more like doing sort of shortcuts. Things like, when people are walking, instead of having a farther shot that shows like all their movements, it's like, okay, we'll have more of a close-up thing and we'll just have their like bodies move up and down to show they're walking around. So that's something a lot of people have commented on. It's definitely a downgrade, but I don't think the animation is really bad. It's just kind of surprising to see that after the first was so much better animated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was decent. I just think maybe some things were a little rushed. I think the best part of this was probably, I don't know, I like the lighthouse part. The part that seemed like kind of a horror short story. You know, you go up into the lighthouse and you realize, oh no, we got to get out of here. Something bad is happening, and then you know someone ends up dying because of it. It really does seem like the sort of thing you might find in like, you know, some horror short story collection. Okay, let's see. Did I have anything else to say? No, I think that's it. All right, so we've got Demon Slayer episode 53. So there is still a lot more fighting. Anything else to say? I'm sorry. That's all I keep saying about Demon Slayer, but it's all that I tend to remember because that's mostly all that happens.
Yeah, it went away from what was a very good arc, that last arc, and this one just has not lived up to expectations. And I don't know. Do they have another arc coming?
Let's see. I don't know if it'll be on Toonami, but there is a season after this one. It's called the Hashira Training Arc. I don't know if that one's good or not. I think I saw some people say they didn't really care for it, but maybe I don't know if that's like the majority opinion or not. And then after that, I think that's the last of the one that's been released, but they did say that like the series is going to be concluded, I think, in like a trilogy of movies or something.
I hate that. Sorry, I hate that. I hate whenever they have to end thing in the movies because like movies tend to introduce one-shot characters who, you know, are like not even canon, and movies, you know, they're more for a spectacle. They aren't for the purpose of tying up loose ends. So I don't know if ending with a movie is the best idea for most series. Like that was always the rumor with Inuyasha, was that it was going to end with a fifth movie, and then fortunately that never happened, and then it ended properly, which was really nice. I hear that what was it, Kaguya-sama, is that ending in a movie?
I don't think so. The manga, where the anime is, I think there's still a lot of the manga left. I think it's, how far is it into it where it was? There's not enough. If you want to complete the whole story, unless you want to really abbreviate things, then you can't really conclude it in a movie. There was a movie, though. There was a movie that aired a few years ago, and then they split up into 4 episodes, and which we still haven't seen. I just realized we have not seen it because we were saying, okay, well, when it happened, it wasn't a good time to watch it, so let's wait until we get to a point where we definitely have where it works well, and then we can check it out. So maybe we should check that out soon because it's just been lying there.
Yeah, because I forgot about it. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, that was the end of Kaguya-sama. We forgot to see it. Okay, so it's not the end of Kaguya-sama, but we still forgotten to see it. So, yeah, because the one that disappoints me most is The Eminence of Shadow. Supposedly that's going to be a movie instead of season 3. So I'm not too happy about that.
I'm going to honestly, most likely the Demon Slayer movies, they'll release them as movies, and then later on they'll say, okay, we'll just cut them up into 6 episodes or whatever. like they
like
did
they
with
did with the train hack.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
They did that. Let me just check quick to see. I am actually curious how far. Let's see. I think the movie, which, like I said, they did cut up into like 4 episodes. I think that was around volume 16. I'm not 100% sure if that. And then there's 28 volumes total. So that means that we're we're a little over halfway through the story where the anime is, counting those episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll probably see more Kaguya-sama, especially because I don't think the movie there's kind of a well, I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not 100% sure exactly how it goes. But I think there's a pretty important part that takes place soon after the movie happens, and then so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I don't know if they've announced anything about new seasons yet. Okay. Yeah, the most notable thing I can think of that happened in this episode of Demon Slayer was, hey, the pink-haired girl showed up at the end, and she seemed kind of fun, so maybe that'll make things more interesting. All right. So, we've gotten through that, and we got One Piece episode 690. In this episode, if I can remember what happened, again, the problem of it being ago, everyone, I mean, the same, all the stuff that was happening before, yeah, it's still happening. You still have a bunch of guys fighting Doflamingo's minions. You have Luffy and some others trying to get to Doflamingo. So it's the same thing there. It's just advanced a little. Also, all the little dwarf guys get told, like, hey, you were tricked. You don't have to be serving them anymore. So then they decide to revolt. And yeah, that was the stuff that happened in the episode that I can remember.
So they're good now, or they're bad now?
Oh no, they were always good. It's just a bunch of them were being forced to work for the bad guys because they thought because the bad guys told them a bunch of like false stuff to make them do it, and then they got told, no, that's not true. So they're like, okay, never mind. Remember that these little guys, the Tada, are mostly idiots that are very gullible.
Oh man.
Anything else to add to that?
Sorry, I'm really sorry. I can't control myself.
Actually, it would have been really funny if that was all you did say. You just coughed and then we moved on. But seriously, anything else, or should we move on?
No, I don't have anything.
All right, so then we move on to the series that we watched that were not on Toonami. So, great, now I'm doing it. So, we've got Spice and Wolf, episode 20. In this episode, they basically concluded all... Basically, they got past all their previous obstacles through the power of expositing how capitalism works. So now they move on to go to another place because they were trying to find a particular priest who might know... How was it? They need to go there so they can find the guy, so he will tell them where this other thing was, so they could go there to get the information they wanted. That's I think, what was going on. After that, so they go there, they meet some people in the town. They go, let's see, how did they go? They go to the church where the guy, because I think they were trying to find a priest who again knew that, so that he could tell them to go to the place, to go to, everything I just said. Basically, they do that, except they find the person they were looking for is dead, and the other people there are uncooperative in helping them find the place they were trying to get to. And dang, there's something else that happened in the episode, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. Sorry, this is the problem. I saw this stuff and it was later, and now I'm struggling to remember how exactly these went. I think, yeah, that's like the main stuff that happened.
Apologize for that. Yeah, it just felt like the power of capitalism, like what you said. It's like we had to learn about these lessons about capitalism, and then had to have some complaining about food and her tale by Holo, who once was actually a pretty entertaining character, but now she just gets on my nerves. Like she all she does is complain, and it's like, okay, I get it that we're supposed to be getting this whole love thing between her and Lawrence, but truthfully, she doesn't really. The only time she really shows any affection is whenever she turns into her real wolf self. Like all the rest of the time, she's just complaining or arguing or complaining. So, um, yeah, I feel like with her becoming just a one note character, it's kind of taken away some of my enjoyment of the series.
Well, personally, I actually liked this episode a lot more than the last few ones because, sure, I talked about it. They survived it by capitalism exposition, but that was the last episode. This episode, we're past all that, and honestly, the whole plan, the previous episode was so convoluted, I couldn't even remember how they actually resolved everything. But this one was past that. We didn't have all that merchant discussion stuff. We just had them trying to find some stuff, and we had some funny and fun interactions between Holo and Lawrence. So yeah, I actually thought this was a big improvement over the previous arc, so far at least.
Yeah, I think it's improving in some ways. I just think Holo isn't improving.
Yeah, I can kind of see what you're saying there. Okay. So, let's see. Right. We got that. Then we watched 2 episodes of it. We got Full Metal Panic, Invisible Victory, episodes 11 and 12. We're done with the season now. Did you want to describe it? Or do you want me to?
You can go ahead.
Okay, you usually do it, but I remembered you were sick, so I wasn't sure if you wanted to or not. Okay.
No, not this time.
All right. So they managed to figure out where Kaname is. So they basically go to try to Sosuke goes and tries to save her, but then he runs into the rest of the Mithril guys who happen to coincidentally show up at the same time. And then they decide, all right, well, let's go. So they try to attack the place. We do have, was it this episode or the previous one? Was when Sosuke meets up again with Al, I think the AI thing that he usually worked out, was that in these episodes? Yes, it was in these episodes. Okay, I was making sure it wasn't in a previous one. So yay, the robot is alive. So basically they get into the place. However, Leonard manages to escape with Kaname But Kaname is able to call Sosuke to basically tell him, hey, don't give up, come and rescue me. So and Sosuke's like, yeah, I'll do that. And then well, go read the source material if you want more.
What a bummer ending. Yeah, so this thing ends with Kaname still captured with no reason given yet why she's captured, other than maybe because they're trying to lure Sosuke along. But yeah, excuse me, Kaname at first sounds like she's given up on life altogether, and I'm like, okay, this is a really down way to end the series. Like, boy, they couldn't have gone much worse than this. But then Kaname changes her mind and basically tells her that you should kill 1 million people just to save me. And I was like, yes, that's my Kaname. That is what I wanted to hear. And but obviously, since we don't have that, and since I don't know, people have said stuff like that people died who were part of Full Metal Panic in recent years. And so it's just not very likely there will ever be a season 5. So, um, so yeah,
Basically, if you want to, yeah, well, I mean, it's been 6 years since this aired, actually. So, although not as long as the gap between Second Raid and Invisible Victory. But basically, if you want to know what happens next, well, check out the source material, the light novels, or the manga adaptation.
do we know what chapters, what volumes?
Yeah, I actually looked this up. So, now this is basically secondhand information. I haven't really verified this, but what I have seen people say is that if you want to continue back from where this was, you got 2 options. You can read the manga adaptation or the light novels. Now, the manga has not been officially translated to English, or actually, I think it was, but it was only the earlier part, not the later part, and I think it's out of print at any rate. So in the manga, there is Full Metal Panic, then as its sequel, Full Metal Panic Sigma. If you want to go to the manga, you start with chapter 45 of Sigma, is what I've been told. If you are going to read the light novel, which has been officially translated, it is available, you start with volume 10. There is one thing that's a little weird. Apparently, the anime skipped over volume 6 entirely. So, I don't know if there's anything particularly important in it that would leave you confused if you tried to read volumes 10, 11, and 12 without it. So maybe that might be something to check out, to read also. Although I also did see someone post they said I just got the volumes 10, 11, and 12, and that was fine. So maybe they skipped it over because it's not all that important. So yeah, basically, to reiterate, if you want to continue, either start on chapter 45 of Full Metal Panic Sigma, the manga, or start with volume 10 of the light novel. And there's 3 volumes left. There's 10, 11, 12, and then you get to the end. And then it's done. So there's all of that. Oh, and in case, as long as I'm talking about it, I might as well share this because I went in and looked and had to figure this out. If you're wondering about some of the sort of spin-off sequels to the light novel, there's one called Full Metal Panic Another, literally Full Metal Panic Another. Another is in the title. That hasn't been translated into English, officially or unofficially, as far as I can tell. But that light novel series, it's kind of a spin-off sequel in that it takes place after the end of the series, but it focuses on a bunch of totally different characters. It's kind of like, if you watch Star Trek The Next Generation and then watch Star Trek Voyager. It's the same continuity, it takes place later, but it doesn't involve really any of the characters from the original series. Then Full Metal Panic Family is actually straight up a sequel. The first volume came out earlier this year. I think a second one is coming out, but that does not have an English translation yet. Maybe it'll be picked up, though. I mean, it did only recently come, so maybe it'll be licensed. I'd hope that J-Novel Club, they were the ones who translated the light novels, will pick it up. I mean, I would think that a sequel to Full Metal Panic would probably sell better than The Countess is a Coward No More, The Reincarnated Witch Just Wants a Break, or Jeanette the Genius Defying My Evil Stepmother by Starting a Business with My Ride or Die Fiancé. I want to make it clear, I didn't make those up. Those were series that they recently licensed.
Oh dear.
I feel like the light novel industry, like, they just licensed all this stuff in the hope that one of these will get an anime, and then, people will decide, I want to read the light novel. Let's go.
Yeah, this is unfortunately not the one about being reincarnated as little sister's Cutter. That was the one I wanted to read.
Well, that was a manga. So yeah, all right. So now that I've explained all of that stuff, I guess we could at this point talk about the season or even the series as a whole.
Yeah, we could. Well, not really the series as a whole, because I don't really consider this like very well connected to the rest of the series, but I felt like the worst thing they did this series was get rid of one of their best characters and basically turning into a damsel in distress and pretty much shutting her out of everything. Just, Sword Art Online fans always complained about the second arc of that series, wherever they put Asuna in a cage and then she did nothing for the whole season, half season or whatever. So that's kind of what it felt like to me. You lose Kaname, you're losing half your show. Okay, so now you introduce a new Kaname, which is like insulting for one thing, and then you just kill her off anyway. So that made little sense. I like part of the desperation feeling you got from it, the feeling that, Mithril and Sosuke were always on the ropes. They were always in trouble. I liked that. I thought that was a good way to keep things going, keep the stakes up. But they desperately needed to get Kaname back before the end of this season, because without her, you really lose a lot of what makes Full Metal Panic what it is. So I would have to say I'm severely disappointed in the show on one hand, and on the other hand, it was very entertaining and and I can't deny the fact that I enjoyed watching it. I just feel like it could have been so much better. That's all.
As for me, I personally thought this was the best season of the series. I don't know. It's interesting. I remember my reaction to the first season was, well, I kind of like, some of the more comedic school stuff was okay, but whenever it went serious on the plot, I didn't like it. And this whole season has just been serious plot the whole way, and I really liked it. So I agree, Kaname kind of being gone for a bunch of it was a little weak, but I don't know. I thought it was, I still thought it was entertaining, like you said. I thought it was decent. Nami just kind of getting killed like that felt a little like, I don't know. It kind of felt like they sort of wasted her character with that. I guess the point was to they needed something to really make Sosuke super angry, but still feels like they could have done more with her.
Yeah.
One thing I found interesting was that one of the reasons I think I liked this more than why I wasn't that big on the first season, especially compared to this, I looked at them, and so the first season was 24 episodes long, and it adapted the first 3 light novels. So that's 8 episodes per light novel on average. The second season was 13 episodes, or was it 12? Actually, I think it was 12. Sorry if I'm... and it adapted 2, volumes 4 and 5. So that's an average of 6 per light novel volume. This one was 12 episodes, and it adapted 3, 7 through 9. So that's 4 per light volume episode. 4 episodes per light volume. And I thought this was the best pace of it. So I was thinking, oh, well, maybe they should have been kind of going through them faster in the anime. Maybe if they had done them a bit faster in the first season, I would have liked it more. Maybe that was part of the problem. They were going through it more slowly. So, yeah, that was thought it wouldn't take that many more. I kind of do hope they come back and finish the series, because it wouldn't necessarily take that many more episodes to conclude it. If they go through them at the same pace as this season, you'd only need 12 more episodes to complete it. And if you want to take your time, even then, it would only be 24 episodes. So, yeah, I'm a little surprised we just haven't gotten anything since then, because we are so close to the end.
I heard some people who worked on it died in that fire, that arson fire that happened a few years ago at Kyo Annie. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. But I mean, it's definitely possible to have different people adapt it. So were they the one? So was it just the animators or writers, or did any of the voice actors die?
I think they were people who worked on it. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, it was KyoAni that did this. I forgot. I didn't even realize that. Or wait, no, they did the earlier ones. It looks like Invisible Victory was done by Zebek. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. It's Xebec, so I don't know how the X is supposed to be pronounced here. Wait, that studio is not around anymore. It closed 5 years ago. 1 year after Invisible Victory. So yeah, I guess if you're gonna continue it, you'd have to find some other studio to make it. For all I know, that's why it's taking so long. But like I said, even if it is it's funny, we watched Dark Gathering and thought, man, that's really a go read the source material ending. This one is even more of a go read the source material ending.
Yeah.
But the source material is there, and it is in English, so it can be done if you want to see what happens next. I got into this season enough that, I don't know, maybe I'll check out some of that. Probably not right now. There's a bunch of other stuff I have. But definitely something that I'll consider doing at some point if we don't get another season. Oh, and we do finally actually have Kaname and Sosuke, say I love you to each other. So we got the confession.
Yeah, we did get that.
All right. Let's see. Anything more to say about this?
No, I don't really have anything.
All right. So, after that, we've got Yu Yu Hakusho episode 11, So Yusuke manages to beat his opponent by firing off the spirit gun to hit him, and he is able to locate his opponent because when he briefly does get hit by him, he's able to attach a match on to the guy's clothes so he can see them, which is really literally, this is totally the sort of thing you would see in JoJo. I'm serious. So he manages to win with that. Then they go into the next round. Yusuke is up against this guy. I think he's got like ninja powers or whatever. And Yusuke basically manages to... Yusuke, who's planning to basically do some self-sacrificing attack to take out both of them. Well, fortunately for Yusuke, he falls into a puddle, which causes the enemy's attack to go back and hit them instead. So he wins basically through what they explicitly say was dumb luck. And yeah, then Kuwabara has to go fight the other guy who they seem to indicate, he's like the last one left. They're like, oh, so this must be the evil demon rando guy. So we'll see if Kuwabara will be able to beat them, or if, as is more likely, it'll be up to Yusuke because he's the main character.
Yeah, can't say I was really into this one. It's just that one-on-one battling stuff again. And it's just like, okay, so basically the same as every other shonen series. I feel like the show ran out of juice at least a few episodes ago. Whenever it was doing all those crazy things trying to keep Yusuke alive, like that was very entertaining. And now it's just like, okay, we're one-on-one battles. They're gonna battle, and then eventually Yusuke's gonna win. You know, there's nothing really to set it apart. Now I realize that it was made before a lot of these other shonen series who copied it, but that doesn't help me any. So I've just been losing interest in this show. So I don't know.
Okay. I thought it was decent, although once again, it's so hard. It's increasingly hard for me to remember everything because of the you've got. So I apologize to all the listeners for that. All right. Well, this next series is one I actually did watch more recently, and that's Oshinoko episode 16. And all right. Okay. I guess I'll do this one too. Okay. All right, so let's see. What's the best way? Basically, there's this episode was mostly just more, practicing and rehearsing for the play. Actually, I'm kind of surprised we didn't see more of that because we just kind of, we deal with all the drama of the characters. Yeah, that's how I should describe this episode. The characters all discuss and argue about their own drama. It's, this person's like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna prove that I'm not just a child actor, and there's all this other stuff, and Akane's like, yeah, if you want to, tells Aqua, yeah, if you want revenge on someone, I'll help you, and then there's some character, I can't remember. Okay, the problem is, since I read the manga so long ago, and I only read the part that went up until the second season by total coincidence. And I can't remember who a bunch of the characters are. So so the guy who they keep saying is the worst actor in the group, was he from the first season? Because I don't remember him.
No, he wasn't.
Okay. I got that. So, yeah. I guess the big thing we got is that Kana and Akane don't like each other much, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the best part of this episode. Their
And
their whole fight.
yeah, and then yeah, the play is going to start. I guess we'll see that in the next episode. I don't know how much of the play we'll necessarily see, but yeah.
Yeah, I see since I'm on Team Kana, uh I love this episode, especially for Kana going and embarrassing Akane over the fact that she once looked up to her as an actress. And then they go back and forth and have a big argument. And I have to say, my entire opinion of Oshinoko will probably come down to whether Kana or Akane wins the shipping war. And uh, so Kana better win. That's all I can say. Um, I I really enjoyed this episode just because of all the drama going on between these people, and then like the one guy trying to hit on the southern girl, and the one with the southern accent, and then getting told by his buddy that he can't do that, and yeah, so lots of funny stuff in this episode. Um, and a little bit too about uh, Aqua and his quest to find Ice Killer. So we keep getting more plot development when it comes to that. So I'm happy about that because I know this isn't your favorite thing, but that's the thing that keeps me watching the show. So yeah, hopefully uh we get some more drama once this play begins. I mean, I would love this thing to end up as a train wreck, and because that might be the most entertaining way it could go. So we'll see.
Okay. So usually when we watch something that one of us has seen before, it's me having seen something before you, and you always ask me about who characters are and things. Okay, time for a role reversal because I need some confirmation on some things. Okay, so Kana, what happened with her was that when Aqua was younger, when he was basically a child actor, who of course was a great child actor because he's got the brain of an adult.
Mhm.
She was in like a film he was in, or they knew each other from that. That was how like they knew each other, right?
Right.
Okay. And Akane was introduced later on when he was on that like dating
Reality
show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm getting them now. So why I want to ask, why do you like Kana so much more than Akane?
Well, because Kana had such a entertaining relationship with Aqua during that first season. She was off and on and off and on again, and you could tell that Kana really loves Aqua, but she was too much of a tsundere to ever say it. Akane's very boring. All she's really done was threaten to kill herself, and that kind of got people to love her. And aside from that, she's just a actor, and that's all there is to it. So Kana, there was so much character development during the first seasons, like the baseball scene and all kinds of stuff. And Akane, it was just kind of like oh, hey, I'm a good actor, so I'm going to pretend to be Aqua's girlfriend. And yeah, so definitely a big fan of Kana and not a fan of Akane at all.
Well, Akane, I was going to say I was talking about tropes, and I was going to say, I'd say Akane has the advantage because no, I was going to. She feels like I feel like she has the advantage because whenever two people pretend to be in a relationship, it seems like it almost always turns into a real one in fiction. Have you ever noticed that? Like, is there any series where people were pretending to be in a relationship and they did not end up together at the end? Like, is
Well,
there?
this is a little different
Okay.
though because they uh I wouldn't call it the same because there was the first season definitely had way more moments between Aqua and Kana than it had with Aqua and Akane. So I wouldn't say that is a slam dunk at this point.
Okay. Yeah, well, Kana had. I was about to say this was the advantage, but then I realized, oh no, this is the disadvantage. Kana's at a disadvantage because she's a childhood friend. They never seem to win these things. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't really know where the series went. The series is ending in 3 chapters, though, the manga. So
Mhm.
I have no idea if the manga has like given us a definite answer, like or not. I don't know if he's picked one or the other. I don't know if he's just decided to be alone, or maybe they formed some polyamorous relationship for all I know. But yeah, the manga's ending soon. I might as well give a quick mention. Manga Plus, it has Oshinoko. Now, Manga Plus will let you read each chapter for free once of an ongoing series. But after a series ends, it switches and you have to have a subscription to read the chapters at that point. Now, I think it only switches over something like 3 weeks or something after it ends. But if you want to go through it all for free legally, I mean, if you don't care about the legal part, I'm sure there are other places to read it. But if you want to do that, now might be a good time to binge through the series before it ends.
You mean if I wanted to read the whole thing, I could do it for free?
Yeah, all of Ochi no Ko is available for free right now on Manga Plus.
Oh,
Well,
really?
yeah, well, with the caveat that that the free means you only get to read each chapter once. If you want to read them multiple times, it requires a $2 per month
Oh,
subscription.
okay.
That
Okay.
that's that's how they work. The first read is free for the chapters of an ongoing series. If you want to reread those chapters, it's $2 per month. If you want to read the chapters of a completed series, you need the deluxe subscription at $5 per month, which are all actually still pretty, cheap enough
Yeah, that's
prices.
all. Yeah, those are all cheap. Yeah, I might do that.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that to you or any listeners who might have been interested in that. Save yourselves. If you read through it all now, you'll save yourselves $5. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I don't think I had too much else to say about this one other than I don't know. I think I liked Akane more in this episode. Kana to me kind of came across as sort of unlikable, but on the other hand, I can't remember most of what happened before this, so I'm literally judging them mostly on one episode because I think was this like the first real. No, I'm sure they had interactions with each other beforehand, but this is the big one I remember. By the
Mhm.
way, one comment I wanted to mention, I forgot about this. I do like how on this show they do not many anime do this. Licorice Recoil did it. That's the last one I remember. I like the fact they start the theme song before, the theme song the credits actually start. There's a little bit of the start of the theme song and then the credits start. I like that. I like it when series do that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. So, we've gotten through all that. Let's let's move back into Toonami series and talk about the stuff on Toonami Rewind. where we, due to the break stuff, ended up covering. So we've got quite a few episodes to cover. So we got episodes 30 to 33 of Sailor Moon. Let's see if I can summarize them quick. Episode 1, Ray's grandfather is like
Goes nuts.
Yeah, he gets
Loses
possessed
marbles.
he gets possessed by one of the demons, and then they beat the demon and he's back to normal. Okay, next episode. There's a bunch of stuff with cats because we find out that it's the cat that has the last of the what are they even called? Rainbow crystals. So they fight another monster and then get that and stuff. There's an episode where Melvin decides to try to act and dress like Tuxedo Mask in order to try to help Naru and no, not Melvin. I'm sorry. His name is Umino. That's his actual name. He was called Melvin in the original dub, and I was just looking at something that said, I'm sorry, I got that all mixed up. Umino. Okay. So we got that. Then in episode 33, finally something important happens.
Mm-hmm.
So they manage to, the bad guys lure the good guys into a trap, and then the bad guys seem to be winning and beating them in Tuxedo Mask, but then Sailor Venus shows up and to help them. So I guess we got the fifth one now. 33 episodes into the series.
We finally got all 5. Yep, finally. And it's such a shame because like all the other 4 girls have like more reasons to be likable, but the most unlikable of the characters is the one who's the star of the show. So, yeah.
Yeah, we don't really know. I mean, we don't know much about Venus yet other than, let's see. Yeah, I mean, she's around. I think. Dang it, I'm trying to remember because I watched this and I'm thinking, okay, I'm remembering things. I'm like, did that happen in this episode or was it something they mentioned in the teaser for the next episode that I haven't seen? So I can't remember. Like, I just know she shows up. Does she like save them at that point? I can't remember if that happens here, if that happens the next episode, but she's apparently there. Why did we get them in this order, though? It seems so. Let's see. What was the order again? So we started out with Moon, then we got Mercury, then Mars, then Jupiter, then Venus. Why this order? You'd think it would be like, okay, we'll start with, Mercury, then let's do them like we start with Moon, but fine. The rest will be from the sun onward. So you would go Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, but did they just choose them at random?
Had to be random because like not even by sizes or whatever. There's no real reason for the order they picked them. The only thing I can think of is though that, Sailor V originally had her own manga, so they saved her for last.
Oh, she did? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Let's, oh yeah. Yeah, I just looked it up. Wow, I didn't know that. It looks like or wait, hang on. Let me think. Yeah. It came and then Sailor Moon premiered later that same year. I'm trying to because I'm looking at the time it ran. I think they must have. I think because like it says it started 1991 and ended 1997, but there's only 3 volumes, so I'm going to assume Sailor Moon ended in 1997. So I'm going to assume they must have just the author must have just gone back and made some more chapters for the Sailor V manga afterwards. Yeah, it's called Codename Sailor V. Okay. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it looks like it did get an English release. Okay. Okay. I don't really have too much else to say about that. It really you can just skip the first 3 episodes and just get to the 4th, honestly. Okay. Then we've got Naruto episodes 31 to 32. Wow, we've been talking for a while, I think. But let's get there. Yeah, Naruto's 31 and 32. So, Sakura manages to get Naruto and Sasuke. They just kind of try to hide under a tree to heal, but then some bad guys show up and decide to attack. Fortunately for Sakura, Lee shows up and he decides, I'm going to protect you. Unfortunately for her, he gets beaten. So, not so great there. Sakura has to fight. And, well, this is probably the most relevant thing she does in part 1 of the series before Shippuden. Which is that she fights and tries to hold out. Oh, and she gets her hair cut. And she cuts off her hair to get away from the enemies too, which I guess is something. And then apparently this act of determination decides to make, Ino's team, hey, maybe we should help her out. And yep, that was basically the episodes. And
that second one was unintentionally funny for all the times it started playing that dramatic sad song, sadness and sorrow, and it was like unintentionally funny because that song, while I love that song, it just felt like way too emotional for the moment. And the time before this that they did that was at the testing place, and we're like, they're saying, yes, we made it so it would be very hard to cheat on your test, and then they started playing that song, and it was just so funny for how melodramatic it was. Sakura kind of sort of does something in this episode, but you have to wonder what were Ino and Shikamaru and Choji thinking, just sitting there watching that happen. And they show up. It's like, oh yeah, we're here to save the day. It's like, well, thanks. You got Sakura pretty much battered to death, and now you show up. So yeah, just some weird moments there.
Yes. And unfortunately, like I said, if I remember correctly, this is the most useful Sakura is until Shippuden. Because she didn't really do much in the, up until this point. She doesn't really do anything particularly important after this point, outside of, I guess she ends up fighting Ino in, the one-on-one things, but that was kind of it. I just don't remember anything she does. Again, it's not until Shippuden where she actually does early on get a pretty important fight. So finally she does something then, but it just takes so long for one of the main 3 characters to do something particularly important.
Yeah.
Okay. But still, she did do something. She did protect them and that, I guess, made the other characters decide to help out. So that's something. All right, lastly, Dragon Ball Z Kai, episodes 26 to 27. So, Vegeta, after recovering, decides, well, I'm just gonna escape and throw all the Dragon Balls away. So maybe a guy as strong as him, if they were going to, try to, heal him, they should have had better security, I guess. Anyway, Vegeta does that. He ends up, then he goes after Krillin, who has a Dragon Ball, and Zarbon also goes after him. Vegeta beats him this time, and then tells Krillin, hey, give me the Dragon Ball. And Krillin's like, okay. And then he just gives it to him. Because Krillin, well, he's right. If he refused, he'd just get killed anyway. So,
Right.
So yeah, Vegeta leaves, and meanwhile, though, Gohan managed to use a Dragon Ball radar thing to find the Dragon Ball that Vegeta left at that village. So, and then leaves with it. But then he runs into Vegeta, so he just hides the Dragon Ball and manages to essentially bluff his way out of it. And Vegeta doesn't even see the Dragon Ball, which is pretty funny.
Which is right by him, too.
Yeah.
Doesn't notice it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then he goes back to get the original Dragon Ball, then realizes it's not there and that Gohan had it, and I'm very sorry about that alarm. And so he's super angry. Then Frieza gets told that, yep, the Ginyu Force are going to show up. So to come to help him out. So yeah, we're going to be getting that. We are approaching the episode Surprise Goku is Ginyu and Ginyu is Goku.
All right. So we're getting close to the place where I started watching Dragon Ball. So that's good. That was the first episode I ever watched.
Okay.
I didn't even know who Goku was.
And that's it. Anything else to say about that, or do we just move to the end?
Move to the end, I would say.
Okay. Oof. So now we gotta rank our top 3, and I have to actually remember everything again. Let me see. I know what my will be. The other ones are just, let me think. I put it there. I got the first 2. What do I want to put for the third? Okay. So for me, I'll just put, for number 1, for me, that will be Full Metal Panic. Number 2 will be Oshinoko. Number 3 is a tricky one, but I don't know. I guess I'll say Yu Yu Hakusho.
Okay, so for mine, third place, I'm going to pick Spice and Wolf. Second place, Full Metal Panic, and first place, Oshinoko.
And that's it, I think. That's our episode for this week. Don't really have too much else to say. I guess I'll just say, so like I said, we're going to try for another episode later this week. We'll just cover the last episode of what's it called, of Rick and Morty anime, one more episode of Uzumaki, and yeah, catch up on the stuff from Toonami last week and the Oshinoko episode that premieres on Friday. So that's what we're going to do. We are not currently planning to, we'll save, Yu Hakusho and Spice and Wolf for next week.
Mhm.
Whew. Yeah, I guess that's all of it. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, not really.
Okay, in that case, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Toonami Therapy. I'm Michael.
Yeah, hello. I'm Tommy.
It's October 18th of 2024, and we're here to talk about anime and also Toonami sometimes. So, due to our convoluted thing we talked about last episode where we watched some things in a different... the specifics aren't important. The bottom line is, as a result of this, right now, we are not doing any of our non-Toonami stuff outside of the Oshinoko episode because it aired just before... Well, it got put up... The dubbed episode got put up before we recorded. So, we got that. And... yeah, okay, so let's get going on to it. But, oh, no, before we do that, there's something important to say, isn't there?
Yep.
Do you want to
what
say
is
it, or
that?
do you want me to say it?
You can say it.
Okay, so we finally got some announcements about the series that are coming to replace Uzumaki and Rick and Morty the anime, and also Demon Slayer, because they're all going to be ending in pretty quick succession. All right, so first we have a new series. As in, it's, I don't think it counts. It counts as an anime exactly, but it's called Invincible Fight Girl, which we technically already knew about that because they had advertised it. So I guess we'll check that out. Then they've also decided to bring back Blue Exorcist. Initially, I was thinking, oh, okay, so we're going to get the second season, right? Nope, it's reruns of the first, apparently.
Oh, man.
So, not sure exactly how we'll approach that. It's annoying because they put it before One Piece also. If you're going to rerun it, you could put it after. You could just move it one slot. You could just swap it in One Piece, but I don't know. So,
I have a question.
yeah?
I have a question. Hold on. About Blue Exorcist. Did we do that? Did we watch that during the podcast? Even our older podcast, or was that before we did a podcast?
It's so long ago, I can't even remember for sure. Let me...
I think it was, if I were to guess, I guess it was before we started doing the podcast.
I know it was at the point where we were watching it and kind of live blogging it to each other when we were watching Toonami things, but I can't remember about that. I feel like we might have had some of the ending portions of it on the podcast. Not this current podcast, our old podcast. Mm-hmm. We had one even before this, but for reasons, and then it ended up kind of being stopped and removed. So, and then we just started this one, which was basically mostly the same thing, just with a catchier title.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Let me just check on this quickly. What is the oldest episode we have on this? Well, I'm not sure exactly, but at any rate, none of our discussions are on this, and it was a while ago. It was wasn't it? Yeah, it aired on Toonami back in 2013, so more than 11 years ago.
Wow.
So maybe, I guess, maybe we'll just rewatch it. Why don't we? I can't actually remember what I thought of the series, honestly. What were my opinions on it? I cannot remember most of it. The only thing I remember is that the ending was weird, and that's because of the fact that the anime decided, well, we're going to catch up with the manga. So instead of doing what everything does nowadays and say, okay, we will end the season here, and then when there's more material, we'll come back and have a new season. He said, now let's just make our own ending. You know, like the original Full Metal Alchemist did it, Akame Got Killed did it, this series did it, and Tokyo Ghoul did it. It's especially weird because both Tokyo Ghoul and this did like come back for more seasons, and they just like ignored the endings they came up with. Like the second season of Blue Exorcist just ignores the last 10 or so episodes of the first season.
It's like, yeah, nothing to see here.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll watch it because it's been so long. We'll see. So the other thing, though, is that they have announced that they are going to be airing Mashal. So that's a series they haven't aired before. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I haven't really seen much of the anime, but I did read the manga. Yes, another series I get to say I read the manga of this before it was an anime. I did it before it was cool. Actually, I think Mashal didn't really become cool until the second season because its theme song went super mimetic and it just got this giant burst of popularity. But yeah. So that's the information of what we've got. So although I think there is a week that's just going to be reruns of Uzumaki, we'll figure out what to do that week then. Okay. All right, so that's all the information. Yep, we've got Mashal that could be interesting. Blue Exorcist that might be interesting. And we have Invincible Fight Girl, which I don't really have much to say about because the other two series were things that I either read or I watched, so I at least know a little bit about it. All I know about Invincible Fight Girls is apparently it's about an accountant who wants to become a wrestler.
That sounds interesting.
Well, that's what all the ads were telling me. Okay. All right. So I guess we can move on to the actual series we watched. So we'll start with Rick and Morty, the anime, episode 10, The End. So Morty feels really sad because Elle died. So he goes into a virtual reality thing to see this alternate timeline where they got together and had a kid and a bunch of stuff in their lives. And that's most of the episode really. But then he like gets taken out of the thing, and Rick just tells him, it was just virtual reality, not real. But then the ending indicates, no, this actually did all happen in some alternate reality, although in that alternate reality, Morty also dies. So, yeah. And then that's basically the end. Yep. Whew.
Yep.
So I kind of feel like, well, I kind of feel like this might have been, this episode, and maybe the series as a whole, might have been an okay story if, it was an original series, but you watch this and it's just like, what does this have to really do with Rick and Morty, the series, in either content or style?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest problem with it, is that I kind of like Rick and Morty, and this doesn't really resemble Rick and Morty at all. It doesn't have the humor. It just has the characters and kind of sort of what they, did in the original.
It's especially interesting because when I watched this, because I watched it on Thursday when it premiered, before there was an episode of Rick and Morty. So I figured, okay, I'll watch this. And I don't know if this was a coincidence or not, but the plot of that episode kind of related to this one. Because this one is like, okay, Morty marries Elle, they have a kid, it's about their life. In this one, Morty ends up let's see. He gets like this sex robot or something, but then inadvertently impregnates it. So then he has like this kid, and he's trying, and he like starts treating it like it's a baby, except it's one that of this race that I won't get into all the things, that like grows up super crazy fast, like becomes an adult in 24 hours and has all these destructive urges. And of course, a lot of this stuff is just played for like, kind of comedy, like dark comedy. Really, it did have a really funny bit actually, where they're trying to encourage him. The guy, okay, look, you've got these murderous impulses, but you should like channel them into creative purposes. And then just randomly this comes on, and I can't remember his name. He's not actually voiced by the actual person, but let's see. Oh yeah, Brad Anderson, the guy who like made Marmaduke. He comes by and just goes, yeah, it's just like me. I have all sorts of murderous impulses, but I channel them into my work. And then someone says, that's not really the impression I got from reading Marmaduke. He says, what, you thought it was supposed to be funny? And I'm like, okay, that was kind of funny. So anyway, and then I'm like, okay, this episode, it has some like more like jokes and stuff I didn't like, especially when they just kind of forcing all the sex gags and stuff. But I just look at that, and I look at this and I'm like, okay, so that we have a similar plot, except in that one, it's just a silly comedy. And then in the other one, it's like, let's treat this all super seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs to have the humor, and it's lacking in the humor. And that's the only thing that saves Rick and Morty, is its humor. If it was a serious show, then it's a complete bust, and that's kind of what the anime was. So have to say, hard pass on this. I didn't really have a choice because that was part of our lineup, but I probably would have checked out after 3 episodes.
Yeah, I looked. I was kind of curious, so I tried to look up some discussion on the last episode, and some people were like saying, "Oh, yeah, no, this was actually a decent final episode," and kind of expressing some opinions that the series did improve as it went on. But on the other hand, I kind of expect to skew towards positive, because if you were still watching this by episode 10, you probably liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not that great. There were some parts that I kind of looked at. I thought, okay, this seems like something from the original series. It's just, why make it if it's going to be so different? I don't mind it being different. Heck, that's fine. There's some stuff I'm not really that fond of in Rick and Morty, because whatever, as it does with every single adult comedy, you get all like the more adult jokes that usually aren't that funny. Sometimes they are, but usually they aren't. And so I was thinking, okay, maybe you can ditch that, make it a little more anime, but still keep a bunch of the comedy. And like I said, there were some bits of that, but at the same time, most of it wasn't. It just played everything so seriously, and yeah, can't really say I particularly liked it. Maybe I would have liked it a little more if I had watched it dubbed from the start. So, like I said, if you watch something you don't like subbed, it makes it way worse. But yeah, don't know if I have that much else to say about it. I just doesn't really feel like the original series, to the point that it kind of felt like, I legitimately wonder. So, did you ever see the movie I, Robot? It was like from 2004. It starred Will Smith.
No.
Okay. So so obviously you see the title, and that was the title of this this book. I think it was a collection of like short stories, though, although they had similar themes, Isaac Asimov. And the movie was originally just going to be like, a kind of science fiction adventure story. And then they decided, okay, let's like, for marketability, call it iRobot. And then they just kind of rewrote it a bit to include some references to that. And then that was it. It was it had very little to do with the original iRobot, but they just included some references to it, and that was that. And this kind of feels almost like that. Like someone had this idea to have all this stuff happen, and then they decided, yeah, but we need better marketability, so let's just rewrite it a little to have the Rick and Morty characters.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say one thing, definitely one positive thing about this last episode. I understood pretty much everything in it. None of all this convoluted cutting between alternate timelines without making it clear what we're doing. None of that stuff. It's just I understood it. I didn't particularly like it, but I understood it.
Yeah, I kind of got it too, but it just wasn't very entertaining. So yeah, this show, I'm not sure why they made it, and I'm not sure who it was for, because if it was for Rick and Morty fans, well, they kind of didn't keep it in uh, like the original show. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying here. What I'm trying to say is that it doesn't have the same tone as the original show, and I just don't know who they were trying to market this to. Did they think that, okay, people out there really want a Rick and Morty where it's serious and these are like serious plot lines? Like, I guess that's what they were going for, but I can't imagine all that many people who were like, yeah, this is what we want. It doesn't make much sense. So I think they lacked a good audience, and that's why they lacked a good show here.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's our opinions on it. But who knows? Maybe, like the meme says, you need to have a very high IQ to understand Rick and Morty the anime. Okay, so we'll move on after that. So we've got Uzumaki. I started to say Rick. Wow. Uzumaki episode 3. So we continue with weird stuff happening that involves spirals. So we have, I think that's the mother of, what's his name? I can't remember the main male character's name. For some reason, I can remember the girl is Q, but I can't remember. Shuichi, that was it. So yeah, his mother goes kind of crazy because we're all worried about spirals. So and when she finds out there are spirals in the ear, she tries to cut out and dies. It looks as a result. We definitely see she dies. There's a weird thing where a bunch of women are at this hospital are trying to take like blood from people, and then when their children, because they were all pregnant, are born, they are trying to get back into the womb and turn things into placenta. It's very weird. I don't know if I should even be trying to describe the plots in this thing, because they're all just very weird things involving, spirals. The last thing, though, is where they end up coming across this guy who's got all these weird horn stuff on him, and that to try to get away from it. And yeah, I think there might have been some other stuff. Really, it's just weird stuff happens and involves spirals, like the last 2 episodes were.
Yeah, this episode reminded me a lot of a show that I unexpectedly liked, which was Paranoia Agent. It had the same type of feel to it. Like, all of a sudden you have this something shows up, and then it has something to do with a spiral, and the spiral causes something terrible to happen, and there's all kinds of yelling and running and screaming, and then it moves on to the next thing, and it never really gives you resolution for what happened in the previous thing. It's just like, here's another one and here's another one, and I thought it was great. I was like, this is what a horror show should be like, and it helps that it's in black and white. I like that touch to it. So yeah, I gotta say I really like this episode.
Yeah, and while it didn't, animation wise, it's not as good as the first episode. It is better than the second. So yeah, I mean, it's serviceable. It's just unfortunately after having that first episode with such great animation, suddenly you notice you're more critical when ordinarily you might not have been. One other thing to note, and this is kind of a weird decision on their part. Well, maybe not because I guess they were trying to have several things in the hospital at once, but that plot about again, Shuichi's mother with like going crazy about the spirals, that originally happened earlier in the series, in the manga, and they moved it here, which normally would be fine, except it creates a plot hole. Because in last episode they explicitly say we've stopped cremation because the smoke forms spirals and people think that's really like spooky. But then she dies, gets cremated, and we see the spiral. This was supposed to happen before that, so that's a little bit of a plot hole due to the reordering. But yeah, it's just a hard series to describe, but I thought it was decent, definitely. Yeah. However, unlike Paranoia Agent, we never have Lil Slugger show up at the end to hit someone.
And we don't have nearly as good of a theme song as Paranoia Agent.
Yeah. All right, so we'll move on. So we've got Demon Slayer, episode 54. Hey, guess what? We've got more fighting against a monster. like we've done for the last, I don't know, 6-7 episodes. We do get a flashback to the pink-haired girl, Mitsuri, that's her name, I think. Backstory where we find out essentially that she ate her hair turned pink because she ate all of this like pink colored food. Okay, because I don't think it works like that, but okay. And she's super strong, but as a result of those, she wasn't able to ever find a boyfriend. So then she just joined the demon hunter group to fight the demons because again, she's super strong. And that is useful information that we did not need to spend like as long as we did on a flashback for.
Mm-hmm.
The good news for our heroes and possibly for us is that it seems like they do actually manage to beat the bad guy, or well, kind of. He like does end up really small and runs off while they chase after him. But it at least seems like they've made some real major progress in this fight. And next episode, we're going to have an hour-long one. So here's the question. Since presumably the demon guy is going to get killed, what percentage of that hour-long thing do you think will be dedicated to their tragic backstory? I'm going to say 20%.
I will go with 40%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gotta be at least half of a segment.
Mm-hmm.
So 25% at the least. But I think we'll get a little bit of the battle, and then we'll get it for the rest of the first half of the episode. So it'll be 40% of the episode. That's my prediction.
Okay. Now, I was thinking it would be a quarter of an hour, or half of a regular episode. But then I was thinking maybe that's going a little higher because I don't feel we've got that much of a personality out of him compared to the main villains of the previous ones, where I guess it made a little more sense because it focused on them. But I don't know. Demon Slayer definitely has a thing about usually trying to put in these big tragic backstories for the demons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's that typical thing of having to redeem every single villain, which I hate. Which happens, remember in Bleach, pretty much every single villain had to have right before they died, they had to have a flashback that made them seem sympathetic to the audience. So yeah, it would probably be something like that.
Okay. Well, we'll see. So, that's Demon Slayer. Anything else to say?
Nope.
All right. We've got, and then we have One Piece episode 691, I think is what we're up to. Yes. So, let's see. You know, I realized when I gave the description of the stuff that happened in One Piece last week, last week in the previous podcast, which we recorded earlier this week, I realized, did I just include stuff from this episode when I described that? Did I do two of them? But I don't know if it matters too much because mostly the same stuff happened in both of them. Because, hey, they're fighting Doflamingo's men. Luffy is still trying to get to Doflamingo to fight him, but they keep encountering guys along the way they have to fight. I guess like the big stuff we got is the fact that Kinemon ends up meeting another guy, Kanjuro, who I can't remember if this character was like seen before or whatever, but he's some other samurai guy he knew. And yeah, that's kind of One Piece.
Yeah, I enjoyed that bit where they were all arguing about who was going to get the kill, Doflamingo. And they really got angry at each other over it. And I'm sitting there thinking, look, guys, you're going to be lucky if you even get a shot at fighting him, because let's face it, it has to be a one-on-one battle. So only one of you is going to get that chance to do it. So you better not be fighting over who's going to get the kill, because it's kind of predestined that he's only going to get killed by one person. And I would bet on Luffy, but you never know. They could throw in a twist. I also like the obvious reused animation and padding that this episode had. It did a very good job at that. We got some shots of people running and people running and people running, and it was reused animation. So yeah, it did a pretty good job with the padding this week. By pretty good, I mean pretty bad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, here's some. Speaking of that, something to mention. This won't really be affecting things on our end, most likely, because we're still the stuff airing on Toonami is still so far behind the Japanese. But they did announce that the One Piece anime is going on a hiatus for. Let me double check to see how long it was. I think it's coming back in April. Let's see. Yes, it's going on hiatus. It will return in April 2025 with new episodes. The reaction I've seen from most people is, you should have done this years ago. Because when they go on a hiatus and they come back, you don't have to pad things out as much. Maybe that's... Yeah. Is it possible it went on hiatus just because they realized we can't pad things out any more than we already have?
They just got frustrated with the padding, and they
Well, the big problem is the fact the author, as he's been releasing chapters less consistently. Now, we're not talking anything near on the level of Hunter x Hunter, which actually did come back recently. We'll see how long until it inevitably the manga goes on hiatus again. But I mean more like, he's maybe like he does like 3 chapters, then a break, like 2 chapters, a break. By breaks, I mean like 1 week long, so stuff like that. But that means that you're getting fewer chapters per year But since this is a weekly anime and they just don't take breaks on it, that you got to get 52 episodes out, maybe a little less than that because of holidays or whatever. But so you're just going to have to catch up. And for whatever reason, the anime refuses to do filler arcs nowadays outside of like some brief stuff. So maybe that's it. They just realize even we can't stretch things out long enough. Let's just take a break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They could, of course, just do what pretty much every other anime does, is take breaks. Have some episodes in a year, then come back the next year with more episodes, like Jujutsu Kaisen or My Hero Academia or Spy Family or, all the other super popular anime series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, skipping past that, we've just got Oshi no Ko as a non-Toonami series to talk about. So here we got Oshi no Ko episode, what is it? 6.
6 of the second season.
Yes, 17 overall, sorry.
Yeah. So basically they have the play, they perform, and one guy really doubts his own he doubts his own acting skills, and then he gets all kinds of courage, and then he really goes out there and acts well, and that's it. That's the episode. We don't get anything really of note. All we get is characters acting in a play, and one guy who I don't remember who he was before this episode, but apparently he got all the attention because he really, really tried hard and he did his best, and now he's a real actor, and that's pretty much about it.
Yeah, it was kind of weird to have this episode focus so much on, someone who's not any like of the main characters. I'm trying to figure out. So, like, I don't remember him in the first season or like the manga chapters I read that correspond to that. And you said that you don't remember him there either, but he keeps talking about how he was on Sweet Today. And that was in the first season. So was he just there, but as like some sort of background character, and we didn't catch?
Well, he was probably there, and I just didn't pay attention to him. I like, those characters you don't notice that they're. You think, okay, that this is just some minor character, and then you find out sometime later, it's like, oh, okay, we were supposed to pay attention to him. So that's kind of what I think he was.
Yeah, so let me actually just double check this character. Let's see. I think he was Melt. That was his name. Let's see. When does he appear first? It says he appeared in episode 3 of the anime, but I don't know if that means he actually. But someone can show up, but that not have any importance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, he did some stuff in the first season, but I don't think he was particularly important. This is, I guess, the part where he's getting the focus. Honestly, the problem I had with this episode was that because everyone's in costume and, wearing wigs, I legitimately did not know who most of the people on stage were.
Yeah, the one with the yellow orange hair, that's Kana. And that's the one I knew. I didn't know any of the other ones. I was like, Kana, I could pick her out easily, but anyone else I couldn't.
Yeah, so yeah, it was kind of a weird experience to just focus it all on this one kind of side character. Like, we see the play, we see bits of it, and I guess he pulls like the shonen thing where he's like, well, I can't, improve everywhere, so I'm just going to get super good at one thing and use my weakness as a strength because people will think I'm not such a good actor, so when I do this one part really well, it'll be great. So so that felt very shonen, which is kind of funny because Oshinoko is a seinen series, so yeah, so one final thing I wanted to mention, what we were seeing them do during the play, I was thinking, wow, some of those like stunts they're doing seem kind of like dangerous, honestly. Like people were like getting
really
knocked back and falling, like didn't someone like fall on their back and then they like flipped over or something? It looked very like some of those looked kind of dangerous. It's the sort of thing you'd have like a stunt double do or something. So yeah. Okay. I think that's everything I had to say about it. Now, did I have anything else? Nope, that's it. All right, so lastly, we've got Sailor Moon episodes. What numbers are we? I think 34 and 35.
So things get serious here. Sailor Moon, in the first episode, Sailor Moon finally figures out that Tuxedo Mask is the same as the guy who she's hated all this time, which she couldn't figure out, even though they looked identical to each other. But all of a sudden now she figures that out, and he gets defeated. And then the second episode, the other sailors, they go and they get defeated, but Sailor Moon uses, the power of love or whatever, and she defeats the enemy and saves all her friends. And I'm not sure about Tuxedo Mask, though, but she saved her friends, so things are okay for right now. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, Zoisite dies also. Barrel just decides to kill them.
Yeah. Yeah, just as an aside. Yeah.
In the original dub, they changed Zoisite's gender to female. I kind of think I like the character more as a female because it made like it was kind of nice, I guess, to have one of Barrel's generals not be a guy. So I don't know. At any rate, this is the uncut version, so we didn't have that. So I mean, the character looks pretty like a female, which is why they got rid of it. The character looks like a girl. Okay. Yeah, not too much else to say about things other than one comment I had. So we do have him actually transforming to Tuxedo Mask, and I was thinking, wow, that was way shorter than all the Sailors Guardians transformations. Like there, it's like, okay, we got to go through all this stock footage. With him, it's just I just transform. It's pretty quick. Yep. Yeah, we find out that Moon Princess is Sailor Moon. Wow, the Moon Princess is Sailor Moon. Never would have seen that coming.
Yeah, no one could figure that out. No one was able to. Yeah, that. Yeah, that's kind of puzzling.
Yeah, I can't remember if her. Well, technically, I can't remember if before this they said it was the Moon Princess, but they kept saying Princess, so. Yeah. All right. Don't really have too much else to say about that. We got Naruto episode 33, So, Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino decide, okay, well, we I guess we'll help the other guys. So they try to fight, but still have some trouble. But then Sasuke just taps into the cursed seal thing and manages to beat them. Although I think if I remember, Sakura manages to stop him before going too far, I guess. And so the other guys are like, okay, well, here's our scroll. We'll see you later, and just leave. And yeah, that's basically the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, we finally get to see Sasuke and why he was why he is who he is. Why he's always so emo and stuff. We finally see the reason for that. And so that helps set up for pretty much of the rest of the show. And it's amazing they all work together and then nothing really matters. Like they do all that work together and it's like, and it just ultimately didn't work out. So yeah, I thought it was a okay episode.
Yeah, the stuff with the cursed seal, I think they call it, that's definitely, that actually is important, and a lot of stuff is set up here, because it gives Sasuke all this power, but the point of it was that Orochimaru wanted to make Sasuke come to him because, to be able to completely unlock all the power, which, well, to give spoilers, he does eventually. So yeah, that was interesting. So I don't know. I thought this was actually a decent episode, but at the same time, I don't know. I've just not been too huge on this Forest of Death part. I feel like I liked it a lot more the first time around, but this time I'm kind of like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
On a positive, although you can say, well, I was going to say there wasn't one-on-one battles because it was 3-on-3, but it kind of turned into one-on-one battles between them.
Yeah, it did.
All right. So, finally, we've got, let's see, Dragon Ball Z Kai, episode 28. So, Vegeta ends up running across, he senses Krillin and Gohan, and he's like, he wants the remaining Dragon Balls, so he goes to them. But then when they find out, the Ginyu Force are coming, they kind of end up just agreeing, okay, we'll work together on this. Meanwhile, Goku has been doing a bunch of training in space. Since this is Dragon Ball Z Kai, we skipped over some of the adventures he had.
Did one of those adventures include getting a license?
No, that bit of filler came later. But I remember one episode where the plot basically was that there was some sort of what I don't know if the whole episode was based on it, but there was some sort of problem with the ship, so he had to put on a spacesuit and kind of climb outside the ship in order to fix something. So that was a way to pad things out. But we're mostly free of the padding in Dragon Ball Z Kai, so we just skipped over that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was basically it. Not too much to comment on, unfortunately.
Yeah, I like the whole thing with Vegeta trying to work together and Bulma getting really mad. That was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's always funny whenever the girls get mad on Dragon Ball. Angry Chi-Chi is the best, but Angry Bulma's pretty good too.
Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, so that's all of our series. I guess we're done with them for now, and yeah, I guess we can give any rankings of the series and what we thought of them. Although,
Yeah.
since you don't want to, since you prefer not to be including Toonami Rewind stuff, is there even how many episodes? Let's see. So that's only 4 series, isn't there?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I
five.
got 'em
There's
ranked.
Oshinoko.
Yeah, I got them ranked. Third place will be Osidoko. Second place will be One Piece. And for the first time ever, and maybe the last time, Uzumaki wins the day. Uzumaki gets the win. It is now ranked higher than. It's now ranked even with Zom 100 or whatever the name of that show was. Even though that show had about 12 episodes, Uzumaki has already notched the tie with that show. So, congratulations to Uzumaki for winning this week.
Okay, for me, big problem is I kind of feel there were a lot of just okay episodes this week for the most part. Yeah, I kind of feel like I'll actually agree and put Uzumaki in first place just because it feels like it moved a little ahead of the rest, which were mostly kind of around the same spot. And let's put in Oshinoko in second place. Because, I don't know, I guess I enjoyed it a little more than some other things. And third place would be... let's just go Dragon Ball Z Kai for me.
Okay.
All right. Yep, that's it for all of those series then. Anything to possibly talk about?
I can't think of anything.
Okay. Oh, I guess I should mention, in case for anyone who didn't get a chance to watch it when it was originally in theaters, Crunchyroll did put Blue Lock episode Nagi onto their service now. That's the Blue Lock movie. It's really more like a spin-off. Basically, it just goes over, it just follows the events from the I think the first half or so of the first season from Nagi's perspective. So, yeah, if you missed it in theaters and you're interested, you can check it out. So, yeah, maybe refresh your memory for the second season, although when I saw it, it utterly blitzes through the second half of the first season. So, so won't help you remember that stuff, unfortunately. All right, I think that's everything then. So we'll be back next week. Let's see. We'll have the stuff airing on Toonami then and Rewind. We'll go for our non-Toonami stuff. Yeah, we'll go back because Full Metal Panic's over. We're changing things a bit. We'll be doing 2 episodes of Spice and Wolf, Merchant Meets the Wise Wolf, 1 episode of Oshinoko, and 1 episode of Yu Yu Hakusho.
Okay.
All right, that's it. Then thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Listen up. Midnight Toonami is taking over the team. Here's the breakdown. Midnight, Sailor Moon.
Champion of Justice! You want to see action? I'll give it to you.
At 12:30, Rurouni Kenshin.
What are you, another wannabe samurai?
1 a.m., Batman Beyond.
You wanna fight, Dreg? Let's go!
Fun time!
Then, Big O.
It's showtime! Bye-bye!
Now is the end. No! Tenchi Muyo at 2.
You have to trust in your own power.
At 2:30, Outlaw Star.
All systems green.
Let's go!
Launching anti-missiles now!
Next, Gundam Wing Uncut. Yeah, you heard me.
The god of death is back from hell!
Roger that.
3:30, Dragon Ball Z, the greatest action cartoon ever made.
That's right, and I'm ready for action.
And at 4, Yu Yu Hakusho.
Very good!
Pardon me if I make this quick.
From the Gundam universe,
Let's get things started.
G Gundam at 4:30. Toonami, the Midnight Run. Thank us later. Only Toonami.